Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Pro Cycling Manager 2019, Career Mode, episode number 69. This is it. We're right at the end of the season. Last 4 races. We're only going to participate in just a little bit of this. First up is Il Lombardia, great classic, 247 kilometers in length. And even though there is some intensity before the end, we're going to push as late as we can until we come into it, because I'd really like to get to the beginning of next season. 75 kilometers to go. It's still a long ways out, but I know things are about to get interesting. That last climb, much shorter than the climb that's coming up, and in the last climb, half the riders nearly dropped down to 0 yellow bar. The descent was enough that they've recovered for the most part, but there's a lot of pace in the peloton. We only had a 2-man breakaway today, and they had plenty of time over the field, but over the last 40 kilometers, we have completely pulled that sizable gap back, reeled them back in, and started dropping riders from us. So the pace over the last 40K has definitely been that of a team that's looking to blow up the field. Speaking of, Sean Bennett, the first of our teammates to be a victim of that blow up. Looks like Logan Owen also, surprisingly, and he's off a sizable group here. You can see how quickly the field is shattering. We're down to roughly 90. Narvaez has been dropped. Dianigi has been dropped. William Barta is just been dropped. He's in a group just off the back. So this is why we came back when we did, because I knew things were going to be a little intense, little false flat there where you go back up. Now we begin the full descent, and while Barta has recovered a bit, he's looking pretty weak right now. And McNulty, go ahead and protect. We've got a ways to go till the next one. I would like to send McNulty to grab water now, but on the descent here it's going to be rather difficult. I think Barta might be able to just grab. No, his group is actually pretty long. They're single file. Let's go ahead and bring it back down so we can actually see what's going on here. Our 18 might make contact here, and if they do, then I can use Barta to bring the water back to the group. One rider attacking pretty hard, CCC, getting back in contact. Now we have the next guys kind of going one by one. Wow, this climb is longer than I thought it was. There's the top. And so now it's 16 in this group, and they actually lost ground with just the 3-4 riders deciding to attack. Shoot, this is where I wanted to get McNulty to get water. I was just hoping Barta would be able to do it. But as he has failed in that, McNulty needs to go back and grab. Meanwhile, we'll kind of do one last check-in here with Barta. Get his water, and then we'll set him to auto. He might make it back, he might not. McNulty now grabbing the water. We're right at the base of the valley here. Biggest climb left to go is this one coming up, 6.1 kilometers. Max is just an 8.7. It's just an average of 4.8. So this is not severe. This is more about the pace and the fact that we're down to just 43 riders at this point. But there are plenty of top riders. Moscon here leading the way. Caruso, Valgren, Sepp Kuss, Schachmann, Jan Hurt, Bilbao, Moss, Pierre Latour, Gaudu, Alaphilippe is here. Nibali, Conrad, Lopez, Kwiatkowski. Yeah, this is a who's who. There's a lot of good riders at this race. Only a few kind of minor names left in the field, and it's still pretty close. Barta in a group of 3, so his group of 16 has shattered, and now a group of 4. Berhain was in his group. Van Barl, Kelderman, these guys trying to get back on. These guys were all in that group of 16, so the 4 of them, well, it was the 3. Berhain tried to go earlier, didn't make it back. Moscon now into the back of the group. And now, both getting dropped, of course, Moscon was just working hard. There's Jan Hurt going out the back. Kreuziger and Sam Oomen Wow, Uman's about to get dropped. Lopez. Volgren going out the back. Quintana. George Bennett. McNulty is now going out the back. Let's set him to auto. Caruso, Springer, Shockman, Zacharin, Ciccone, Simon Yates out the back. Sepp Kuss. Craig Anderson. Nasnada about to go out the back. Nibley's out. Bilbao, Pino, Bardet, Latour, Landa, Barguil, Moss, all out the back. Balkamalama about to get dropped. And then we would have a... Okay, well, apparently we went back up. They've regained contact. But we've got a very small group of 16 riders. 2 got away. It's Fuglsang and Kwiatkowski. It's going to be hard for those 2 to stay away from the 16. Evenepoel hanging in there. He didn't have much energy left, but he is recovering right now. And should be able to get to the end and contend well for a top 10 in this race. We have one serious short climb left to go with a descent and then a short sprint from there to the finish. We've come really close from hanging on to a breakaway here, but it is also a difficult one to do so on. An 88 right now for Evenepoel is about to get him dropped, so we step up the pace a little bit so he can recover and get back to the front. So Formolo chasing down Fuglsang, Kwiatkowski. They're about to get reeled back in. And then Gil, Tim Wellens, Youngles, Moss protecting Alaphilippe. He would be a favorite right now. Dianigi going down. Roglic is definitely among the favorites. Izaguirre certainly could. Youngles. Yates is back in, but looks pretty tired after what we just saw. Michael Woods is the kind of person who could be punchy enough. Hugh Carthy. If Woods is protecting Carthy or the other way around, Woods is wearing the 71 number. I would assume that he's the protected one, but it looks like he's protecting Carthy right now. So I'd put those 4 or 5 in the favorites, and maybe we can get up there with them. But it's 17 riders, 11K to go. Evenepoel almost back to full strength here. Ooh, riders coming back at us. That hurts a little bit. Some of these guys are going to have some extra support. Like Bilbao straight to the front. Nibley back in the field. He's going to protect Conrad, or is it going to be the other way around? Kwiatkowski, after being brought back, he looks to be recovering a bit. Moss now putting the work in, so Gaudu is the one protecting Alaphilippe. Nibley going to the front to work for Patrick Conrad. And here we go, 7K to go. We are coming up on the climb. I'm going to go ahead and use my gel now. We need to try to get away on the climb or get into whatever small group, because we're not going to win a sprint. 56 sprint, 65 acceleration. It needs to be a breakaway, and it's skinny. And how long? How long is this climb? I'm going to turn this corner and then... oh, no, never mind. No need. Fuglsang, Conrad, and I have gotten away. Now Izaguirre, Roglic. There we go, over the top. And we are into the top 6. Keep attacking the descent here, but don't overdo it. It's 2K to go. Protect ourselves to take the potential win here, or at least third. 1.1K. Sprint, 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 sprint. Can we beat any of them? We are too slow. Fuglsang, Conrad, 1-2. Kwiatkowski looks like he's going to take third over Izaguirre and Roglic. And we'll claim 6th. We'll claim 6th. That's good. Alaphilippe, only 7th. Yeah, we just beat Alaphilippe. I'll take that. I'll take that. That 6th place is so much sweeter with Alaphilippe in 7th, because he absolutely could have, should have, would have normally won that over the top. The gap to the finish was a little shorter than what I expected. I thought it was going to be a little bit further out. The descent and approach to the finish was a lot shorter than what I had expected, or what I recalled this one being. But a good result. We actually still had a little bit of energy to spare, but again, without any sprint, one, we weren't going to drop those guys. We would have just wasted that energy and had less. So saving that energy, hoping that one of them would not have the energy left, I think was worthwhile. And yeah, that was about as good as we could have hoped for, as we were I would imagine anyway, that we were the slowest on the sprint of the 6 of us up there. Of course, Conrad Fulsung had that little gap. But a top 10 in a major classic is a good result. So Felchi sets off. 3 riders, well, 2 done. Garfield will be done relatively soon. We're down to Felchi, Barta, Evenepoel. Our 2 riders that are done so far, sitting first and second place. Those times won't hold, but McNulty puts in an excellent time of 1 hour, 2 minutes, 12 seconds. Mather, 41 seconds behind him. He ran out of energy just before the end, so he faded just a little bit. Lost probably 20 seconds. I think he was going to be second anyway. Garfield's down to the final 10K. We're going to push a little bit harder for him. And Felchi looking pretty good today. He's got a 75 on his time trial, but his resistance is only a 71, so that's not great. We will probably have to back off to a 74 at some point. So McNulty went at 74 much of the way. He was at 75 at the beginning. He was at 76 towards the end. As it turns out, 74 was soft enough to definitely preserve some energy, and so Mather rolled out 75 the whole way, and then in the final kilometer came up just a little bit short of the energy he needed to make it to the end. And actually it looks like the same thing's happening to Garfield. No, yeah, about 300 meters before the end, Garfield runs out. Part of that's my attempt at an attack. He still ends up in 10th place, even though he is not a time trialist, so we are doing pretty good on managing our effort with these guys. The gap to Timo Rusin in third, a minute 20. And then the times get close after that. So far we seem to be in dominating fashion. Now for the overall, we might be looking at a podium, but probably not any better than third. We have 2 excellent time trialists. Stefan Kuhn is one of them. Who the other one is, off the top of my head, is a little bit of a blank that I'm drawing at the moment. I'm sure if we pull up the riders, we'll see a little bit better who. Let's see, Bjerg. So, Arceus M6 Bjerg, this is one of the top time trialists coming through the game. Pretty sure that's a created character, not one of the actual riders. But those 2 are both 82 in the time trial. Evenepoel is, a 78? But that's the next best. So, bit of a drop-off. Quite a bit of a drop-off. So, Felchi, I think he's already passed 1. Now he's about to pass Inkhorn. Inkhorn is pretty decent, isn't he? Yeah, okay. Not so much. He's just very balanced, Inkhorn is. 73 Koppel rating, but otherwise he's pretty consistent right around the 70 mark. But there's Debacker also, and this is what we've been doing. I mean, even Garfield was passing quite a few riders. Speed things up for a little bit here. We'll keep an eye on those times as we now move past whoever that was. Who was that? Oh yeah, Debacker. And Felchi, this is what I've been talking about. You can see he runs out of energy just before the finish. So that 75 doesn't quite work, and so he slips to third. We have a 1, 2, 3 right now, the only 3 riders within. According to Ermino, so Ermino is a good time trialist, comes in at a minute 10 behind. Ermino was on my team in the 2018 career mode, and Barta here is doing well on his energy. This is where I think we need to back off to a 74 for a little while. And Evenepoel just about to set off. He's got a +1 today. Boy, I thought he was starting a fitness peak. Of all things at this point in the year, I thought he was starting a fitness peak. And should have expected to see better than this. But at least it's a 79, 75. And we never know. Kung and Bjorn may, possibly, it's the last race of the season. They might or have already turned off their fitness regimen and gone into finish off your last couple of races and fitness be damned. If they're dropping off, then maybe they could have negative race day conditions today, and that could really set us up potentially for a good finish. Now, McNulty, Mather, Felci won't beat those two. Evenepoel would have a chance. So we could be looking at, if they have a bad day and Evenepoel has a good day, we could be looking at like a 1-4-5-6. We'll see how Barta does. But I think we could very much be looking at 4 to 5 riders in the top 10. Even Garfield's only slipped to 16th, and he is not a top time trialist at all. So going into 74 seems advisable here, as Barta is nearly out of energy, as he's going to hit the final few hundred meters. Attack did not run out of energy until the last about 10 meters. So that's good enough to move him up to second place, and that does give us currently a 1, 2, 3, 4 completely locking down the podium. The only riders within a minute, except now we're starting to get some better times in. Castrillo for Movistar at 57 seconds. Bowman a minute 7. Of course, Ermino. So the early time of Timo Rusin, that was the clubhouse leader. Obviously, McNulty took away from him. We're starting to see the riders kind of fill in those slots. Evenepoel, third to last rider out on course in front of him. Tony Martin just to 76, and then Suderlin, right? So we're already dropping down. Hausen there. Payot, Dillier, and quality really down. Here's Padoon coming up on the finish. 9th place for him. Dillier, 6th place. Payot, 9th. Hausen, 2nd. Okay, we're going to start slowing things down. Here's Suderlin now. Oh, Suderlin goes into the lead, and here we are just over 1K from the end. There's Tony Martin. We're down to the last 4 riders. And Evenepoel just hanging on here to the energy he needs to try to get to the end. Hopefully this doesn't run out yet. We're going to hold off a little bit on his attack. Now we attack, and he doesn't run out of energy. Evenepoel into the lead. Down to just the 2 riders. So we have, before those 2 cross the line, Evenepoel in the lead by 42 seconds. Suderlin has gone second quickest. McNulty's still there in third. Hausen is 4th. Barta 5th. Mather 6th. Felci 7th. 2 riders to go, meaning all of those guys will remain in the top 10, meaning all 5 riders. We have 5 riders in the top 10 of the Chrono des Nations. But how high we'll place, we'll find out here in a moment. Evenepoel on the podium, guaranteed. He has been the quickest, but the 2 best time trialists are here. Bjerg, an 81 with a 72 resistance. And again, we have no idea where his fitness level is. He will take 2nd. We got ahead of him, but here's Kung. Look how close Kung is to Bjerg. I think Kung's going to win this thing. He's an 81 time trialist, 77 on the resistance. I think Kung's going to win it. I think Evenepoel will be 2nd, but let's find out. And he does. 53 seconds clear. Yeah, that was a really good time. 1 hour, almost flat, 24 seconds beyond an hour. Evenepoel takes a very strong 2nd place showing. Beats Mikkel Berg, so Bjerg, that's definitely a good showing, as Bjerg is, 3 above us on the base attribute. As a team, got the best time. Take that. Group Alma FDJ, a minute 5 behind. Movistar about 4 behind. Jumbo-Visma just 1 second off their time. And then the gaps really start to open up. So we get the team classification. We get a crap ton of riders in the top 10. Holy cow, look at all that beautiful green. 5 riders in the top 9 placings. That's crazy. That is crazy. Unfortunate that we weren't able to win. But, I mean, come on. Considering the competition we were facing, third place was what we could hope for, and I didn't expect anybody else in the top 10. So we will definitely take that. Now, this was the last race of the year, but the Tour of Guangxi is still finishing up. So Guangxi is still finishing up. It's a 6-stage race, 5 sprint stages, 1 punchy stage, and it's a punchy finish. Philipsen has won 3 of the 5 stages, but the punchy stage, he lost a little bit of time, dropped him to 5th place overall. He has moved back up into 2nd place with a 3rd place on stage 5. It was stage 4 where they had the punchy one after he won the first 3 stages. So he's 1 second behind, I think it's Gaudu. Yeah, David Gaudu. So Gaudu leads. Philipsen is 1 second behind as we enter the final stage. So anything in the top 3, and Philipsen will win the race. I'm going to quick sim this one just to be done with the season. But I am curious to see how this final one goes. So, top 3. Top 3 is all he needs. And there are time bonuses. We would easily be able to get that, but no. Quick sim. I'm not going to go out there and force my hand onto this one, even though it's a World Tour race, and that comes with significant points. Philipsen will let him handle this on his own. Got the stage win. His 4th. That means he also will claim the overall. Looks like he picked up additional time out there. I'm assuming he must have claimed a bonus along the way, or possibly there was a time gap to Gaudu. No time gap. So he claimed time somewhere else because it was 10 seconds at the finish, and he was 1 second behind. So he picked up 5 seconds elsewhere, which means most likely he probably had a first and a second at 2 of the sprint points, which also secured the sprint classification. The under 25's classification. Not the team, though. 17th as a team. But I'll take it. Philipsen, 4 stage wins and the overall race victory at the final World Tour race of the year, the Tour of Guangxi. And that will finish off this season. I'm going to push forward just a day here, and then let's go have a look at those final results. Japan Cup was also this day, so I do think that's literally it, not just for us, but everyone. Yeah, there's closing of the transfer market. So, season is done. Nominations for the Cyanide Tour. Top 10 nominated riders. Chris Froome, Fuglsang, Thomas, Pinot, Groenewegen, Dumoulin, Dennis, Ewan, Bernal, and Carapaz. I won't worry about partaking in that. But in the end, with the Guangxi and the Chrono of the Nations, especially how many riders we had in the top 10, we end up with an excellent balance at 770,000. That's much more than what I expected, and we should have no worries next season about the monthly losses that we'll be taking. We should be taking losses. There's a chance that if we get really good results here and there, we'll break even some months, but on the whole, for the year, most likely we're going to lose some money. But the balance is healthy enough, much healthier than it was at the beginning of August when the transfer market opened. In the 2.5 months, we have made so much money that the concerns that I had are now gone. No worries. What I need to watch out for, excuse me, what I need to watch out for is how the balance does through next season, and then as our sponsor confidence, right, how we do next year, if we're going to add another 25,000. What does that cover? Does that get us to a point where we break even so that next year, how much more can we afford? At this point, I kind of get the feeling that maybe we're able to bring in one new rider, but otherwise just kind of go through retention. But is next year the time where contracts come up? No. Narvaez, Cassart, that's it. Everybody else is 2022. So next season, none of these contracts are up. Zero. Everybody, Narvaez, Cassart leaving now, but everybody is back for the next year. That's huge because then we're just looking at budget and how much we spend, and then whatever we have is new spending. If we increase by 25,000, if we're breaking even essentially, then we can afford to spend another 25,000 and essentially continue to break even as we go forward. So beyond that, though, we won't really have much money to play with. Mikhail Bryan reached 100 days in the saddle this year. Garfield, Cassart, the ones that were down a bit. Dianigi, who was hurt for quite a while. Otherwise, we got everybody 73 to 100 days. Fairly balanced. McNulty was just 2 days behind there. Venipol, 89 days raced. That's good management, I would say, for the most part. Of course, Cassart didn't race much just because of how much lower he was compared to everyone else. But then injuries. Sorry. Oof. Okay, final look within the team. Evenepoel just 5 victories. Philipsen ends up with 33. McNulty had 2. Barta had 1. Mather had 1. Very clear who the team leaders were. Evenepoel, lots and lots of podiums and top 5s. Bumped up in the Continental rankings there at the end. 1,140 points. Philipsen took first with 1,700. Philipsen really killing it this year. He was so good. The only rider not to score any points is Cassart. And finally, in the rankings, by the way, Perry Tour, Philipsen took second in Perry Tour. And there it is, 14th. We are getting promoted. We will be in the World Tour. Of course, we confirmed that last time. Individual rankings, Philipsen jumps up a little bit higher into the top 10. 8th place in the World Tour rankings. And we weren't even a World Tour team. So great job there. And really look forward to next season. Finally into the World Tour. We take a 1-2. Evenepoel moves up right there at the end, ahead of Van Jam, to take a 1-2 for our team in the Continental rankings. Super Prestige, Philipsen, second behind Bernal. And he's not even on the list of 10 riders for the Rider of the Year award. That's pretty sad. Groenewegen on the list. We're not. Evenepoel took 15th. Good move by him. He moved up 5 spots with his results at the end of the season. And, of course, victories. Philipsen more than double everyone else. How he is not a contender for Rider of the Year has to come down to nothing more than the team he rides on and the team status. Right? He's going to get a lot of recognition as a quality rider, but he's not on that list because we aren't a World Tour team. No other reason for it. World Tour points as a team, 14th best, 5,100 points. Ineos, top of the year by 10,000. What a huge gap that is. Continental rankings, nearly 1,000 points clear of Dimension Data, who were relegated last season. And then finally, in the Super Prestige, we move up a spot. We get all the way back up to 4th place. That is so crazy. I know we started the year so well, but I thought for sure that as the calendar went on, especially the Grand Tours, and the Grand Tours certainly had an impact. But we did end up getting some participation there, didn't we? Anyway, as the big classic season and the Grand Tour season, as that all kicked off, we did move down quite a bit. But the fact that here late in the season, as things quieted down and we stayed active and continued to get results, we climbed right back up. So Ineos dominated this year. 12,000 points. Groupama FDJ is second with 7,000. There's 4 teams with 7,000, so we're all pretty close together. But there I am, right there, 4th place. I just passed Ducati Quickstep in Super Prestige. And the season's done. Right? We just beat out Quickstep. We just beat out Mitchelton Scott, Movie Star, If Education First. Jumbo Visma all the way down in 15th. That is insane what we've managed to do. Katusha Alpecin and Neri Satoli, okay, fine. They barely squeezed into the World Tour, and you can see just how much they struggled with that step up. Dimension Data above them, of course, us. But that's crazy. I've seen Continental Pro teams do well on this game. I've done well with Continental Pro teams on this game. Never seen anything like this, though. Never. This is just crazy. And now we're heading to the World Tour. So, big step coming. Big step. And it is going to add to the challenge significantly. But with a full World Tour schedule, will we go higher or will that knock us down a notch? We still did really well, right? That last race, Guangxi. It's a World Tour race. Philipsen, 4 stages and the race victory. 5 victories and 1. And that was quick sim. So the team is good. The team is definitely good. And we are pulling results. Philipsen right now is definitely the key to where we're at, though. So his addition this season was massive. And we're going to be even better next season. So let's go ahead and push forward. We'll at least get to January 1st and take a look at the calendar, and I'll start preparations for next season. All right, so it's the 1st of January. We're a couple of weeks away from the Santos Tour Down Under. A lot's already happened in a short period of time. One very worrying thing that feels a little bit better at the moment. Let's start with the finances. Bank balance is now $768,000. Now, here's the thing. It's not going to show us where we are now unless we go back to last year. But October, where we left off, late October, just after that last race of the year, the game automatically starts the flip to the next season. You begin your new budget. You begin with your riders. And so we right away went into that $111,000 monthly deficit with no extra income from the end of the year. So November, we lost $111,000. December, we lost $111,000. January, we lost $111,000. But the fantastic news is we actually ended up with some sort of bumper payment. I don't know where it came from, some sort of investment that actually brought us back up, because we would have been down to, 468 by now? Let's see, where were we? About 580. So we would have been coming down to 468, but there's some sort of $300,000 turn of the year investment that's not showing up on the books, but really making a difference, because here's the thing. Financially, we can expect to bring in maybe $40,000 to $60,000 per month. So let's just try to average that out at a moment for $50,000. If we're losing $110,000 110, 112. Let's just round it to 110. If we're losing 110 per month, that means we're going to lose $60,000 per month between now and October. That's 9 more months. We've already done our January payment. So by the time we go to head into November, right, we're looking at $600,000 in losses potentially by the turn of the year. So that's a lot. That's a lot. And if we were at 450,000, 600,000 in losses would have meant bankruptcy. So man, oh man, whew, that $300,000 infusion really helping, really helping. Because if we lose 600,000 over the course of the year, at this point we'd be down to about 168,000. That is not much, which really would mean I'm literally signing no one next season, unless the only way I do that is if it is young rider with high potential, one young rider with high potential that we're signing for minimum or almost minimum, because then at least next season, right, if we get our budget up another 25,000 or maybe slightly more, signing with another sponsor, if we bring it up 35,000 per month, well then next year we still have an issue. We still would have an issue next year. We'd have 150,000 left in the bank roughly, and we would still be facing a situation, right? If we're losing 60 now and we bring that up to about 30, so it would be down to 30,000 a month that we would lose next year. Now that's going to stretch a bit further, right? That's maybe 300,000 lost over the course of the year, but that's still, doing the math here, right? 150,000 in the bank, I'll lose 300. We would be bankrupt next season and not covering our losses here. So a little bit worrying. If we're going to need to get some results this year, next year, and maybe pick that up a little bit. If there's another $300,000 infusion next year, maybe we do survive the 2 years, and then that following year, again, if we're rising by roughly 30,000-ish in our budget, then we get back to level where we're actually at least breaking even every month between what we spend and what we get back. And then, though, we've got a ton of expiring contracts, and a lot of those guys are going to want more money. So 2 years from now, we absolutely could be blowing up our roster. But then again, if I'm on episode 69 already, 2 years is probably all we've got left in us for this series. And especially with PCM 2020 is going to be on the way in about 4 months. So I don't think we're going to get beyond 2 seasons. But let's hope that we do well this year so that we do not go bankrupt. I think we'll be okay for this year, but next year, that could be a real issue that we're going to have to watch out for. Let's go ahead and take a look at a few things. Let's begin with the sponsor and our objectives. You can see we're still nearing kind of our max out point, and that's why it's going to be about time to look to another team this next season. This is now entering our 3rd year. And for next year, Super Success would push us another 25, so we're looking at 175 as a balance for next year if we can do what we need to do. Main objectives: Ronde van Vlaanderen, 5 stars, top 10, top 5 at the Giro, without a top stage raiser, top 5 at the Giro. So we need to get Evenepoel into the top 5. So there you go. There's our objective for the Giro decided. Liège-Bastogne-Liège, top 10. I think we could handle that. We've got a couple classics riders this year, so yes, I think we can handle that. Milano-San Remo, that is a classic, but is it cobble? No, it's just punchy. It's just ridiculously long, 300 kilometers. Top five, well, again, we have the guys that are built for classics this year. They're going to have stamina. They're going to be able to hang out a lot longer. So I think we might be able to manage that. And here we go. Tour de France, stage win. That's got Philipsen points classification written all over it. That last episode, okay. So last episode I mentioned right at the end of the episode about leaving comments. And at the time that I'm recording this, it's the day that episode posted. So the day that episode 68 posted, where I mentioned that right at the end. It's early enough in the day yet that while I've had a couple comments, they have not been regarding that question and what I should do with the 3 Grand Tours. But Giro, it's clear that we need to go for GC. Tour de France, it's clear we need to go for a stage win, meaning that's the Philipsen points classification race. So that's decided. I will go for points at Tour de France. I will go for the overall at the Giro, and without breaking it down more directly, we're going to need to see Paris-Nice top 5. It's all World Tour races. The objectives now. Let's see. It's really a Basque Country stage win. Paris-Roubaix top 10. Yeah, I think we could pull that off now. Giro d'Italia. Okay, Amgen Tour of California stage win. So Philipsen, Criterium de Dauphiné, Philipsen stage wins for us are going to mean sprints because we are not going to win, and no objective on La Vuelta. So I have lots of time, I suppose, to decide for La Vuelta whether we want to go GC or whether we want to just go for that KOM, or if I want to do both, right? I could put somebody as a KOM contender who would otherwise support GC, and we could go dual. It's hard for a team our size with Evenepoel, our top guy right now anyway, at a 76. Hopefully he levels up before La Vuelta. Maybe he's a 77, 78 by then and is able to compete a little bit better. But at the same time, we already know the capability of our climbers, and they're not they're not strong compared to World Tour. Very strong compared to the continental teams, pro continental teams, but a little iffy on their World Tour abilities compared to the other teams. So our guys do tend to drop out a little bit sooner. McNulty there to support. McNulty may be somebody who could go for KOM, but then if you're taking away his support from Evenepoel, it's going to be a lot harder for Evenepoel to get results. But maybe that GC doesn't matter if we're going for the KOM. Just kind of dual task. I don't know. We'll see. But it is clear that Giro, definitely GC, and Tour de France points. So that settles that argument for the most part. Noteworthy results, obviously nothing yet. Registered riders, nothing yet. But here we are with squad evaluation is looking quite good now. So they very much like Philipsen, who had a fantastic year. So it's going to boost his profile. And actually, I'll go take a look here in a second. Very happy with our number of U.S. riders. And Brian, that brings us down a little bit because our U.S. riders don't have a ton of renown. McNulty hopefully can build on his profile a little bit this year because Brian really doesn't have much potential to get better than he is. Barta, I think, could. He has a chance to build on his profile, but taking the U.S. national jersey this last season apparently has not put him to the top of this list, so I don't know what else he might be able to do to help himself out there. So as we enter the season, it looks like no level ups have occurred at this point. So we are where we are with this. We're still very young. Van Baarle's 28 though, and Gaudry's now 27. Daniel's 26. Owen's 25. But otherwise, we're still a very, very young team team. No teenagers any longer, though. Venable was a teenager this last year, and Gottwald's still just 21. New entrants. So here's our new entrants to the team. So we've got Yuri Gottwald, puncher, 74, but balanced. He can do time trial. He can climb a bit. He's got good resistance. He's got good flat rating. He can just about do it all, and that is so useful for us. So useful. Mads Pedersen, the world champion in real life. Surprise winner, yes, but very good rider who in real life is, just 22, going on 23 this year. Flats a 75. He is so good. I mean, look at that. High 70s everywhere except for the mountain rating. So that one does hurt us in some areas, that he's got such a poor mountain rating. But general quality across the board in so many other areas that Pedersen, again, so useful in so many different ways. And then, of course, Dylan Van Barl, top rider coming in, 77 overall rating. He was a little bit cheaper for us to get for a 77, and that's what's really helped boost us up here. But his cobble rating, 78, stamina's a 79, resistance a 74. He's got good flat mountain hill and time trial ratings, and a little turn of pace. I mean, he's roughly a 70 in his sprint and acceleration combo. That he is balanced enough to, again, kind of do it all. So this is going to give us a lot of different cards to play this season as we go through with the addition of those three riders. And it was only at the cost of Narvaez, who was punchy but terrible on pure climbs. And as the first season went on, Narvaez was a key piece for us. He had quite a few wins, continental punchy climb wins. He did nothing this last season as we started getting into World Tour races, competing at higher levels, and he ended up just a support rider almost all season. So Narvaez was not a big loss for us. I didn't want to lose him, but he was definitely not a big loss for us. And I think Gottwald, who's kind of the direct replacement, is going to do so much more. And then the addition of Pedersen and Van Barl, especially because Ooms was all we had in the Classics, is going to add so much more depth. And especially now as a World Tour team with a Classic season where we'll not just be at maybe 2 of those Classics, but every one of them, we'll have a lot better chance of getting some results. And we clearly have a dedicated Classics team. We still have a small team, so very much like last season, I'll still be very focused in, you guys are my climbers, you guys are my punchers, you guys are my sprinters, you guys are my Classics guys, you guys are my time trialists, so on and so forth. And so we'll see a lot of familiar faces in various race types, and with really only a handful of support guys that are all capable of doing at least a little bit. I mean, all the way down to Garfield is never going to be a team leader, but he's got enough balance that he gives us a little something. He's not useless. He'll give us some protection on climbs, whether they're punchy or pure climbs. He's got a little bit of cobble rating that, in a pinch, he could give us a little bit of cover on a cobble race. So I like our team. We're not as strong as the other teams, though, but we've already proven that Philipsen can still win a lot of races. Venepul can compete. Van Barl, Pedersen should be able to compete, especially with the combo and Ooms supporting them. So we can keep those three alive late into a race and keep the other guys, Philipsen, right? Philipsen won a big Classic last year with a 68 cobble rating because we protected him. So this team, hopefully, can do a lot with a full World Tour schedule. We're not going to have as many wins this year, though. That much is for sure. Racing the full World Tour schedule. Speaking of, let's take a look at that calendar real quick and see what has been scheduled for us. Of course, we could ask to get invites, but I don't know how much of that we'll be doing. Tour Down Under. Other races include like Mallorca, Valenciana, or just Valencia. Murcia, Maria. That's a lot of races. Holy cow. Do we have any triples in here early on? No. Okay, that's good. UAE. It's the first time we'll have been there. The Het Nieuwsblad. Strade Bianche. It's all these World Tour races. This is where things really kick off, is late February. Speaking of, just about time in real life. Okay, we have a little triple here, but that's a youth race. That's a youth race. We're okay. Still don't think we have the numbers for triple races. Giro, we're going for GC. California, we needed stage wins, so that's good. We'll be able to send our sprinters there. So Philipsen will be at California, not at the Giro, which this is where he took the points classification last season, right? I'm pretty sure. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly certain it was the Giro where we took our sprint team, and it was the MJ2 of California where we took Evenepoel to place well there, and then it was the points classification won by Philipsen at the Giro, and that's where he really started picking up on his season. Dauphiné, Tour de Suisse, national races. Let's see, Tour de France, Österreich going on at the same time, and that's a youth race. So just Österreich, the only race that we have besides the Tour de France during that period of time. That's going to be good for us. We'll be able to focus, but of course, a lot of that's going to end up being a break for some guys. We might even want to add some races since we already know what we'll be doing there. Bologna, Bink Bank, Tour of Utah. Aha, we have... No, that's a youth race. Okay, we're good. Vuelta. No triple races on the calendar. So that is very handy for us, very helpful. And that'll really allow us to, this year, I very much intend to actually focus on what the objectives are. And, I mean, look at all these guys. Holy cow, that's a long list that I need to worry about. So, this year I will focus on breaking down what races. Look at that, okay. What races these guys are going to be focused on through the year, and even the other riders. Okay, who they're matching. Love it. So I will finally be breaking that down. Objectives. I'll be setting up my planner. Need to set up my preseason. Of course, everyone at Max Fitness. And they just push into it, manage it. We managed it last year. There was one period, or maybe I did it twice. I think I did it just once this last year, where I got a little too far out on my, or not far enough out on the planner, and we caught up to it, and all of a sudden, guys started experiencing fatigue. Their fitness levels dropped off. So, got to make sure I stay on top of that this year. And of course, the start point for me is who do I need at what races? Sponsor objectives first and foremost. Secondly, we're looking at the big World Tour races, and then the minor World Tour races, and then lastly, kind of filling in those continental races with whoever. But that first piece that I look at for deciding who's going to go where, and I'm going to update this. I still have my sticky note on my desk right here for this last season, for the 2020 season that we just wrapped up with my mountain guys, McNulty, Evenepoel, Mader, second tier, Felchi. Mather, Garfield, Barta. So I have my names. A lot of those are going to be the same. But show me their actual. There we go. Looking at the actual, right? Now, Evenepoel has a clear advantage over the others. He's that first name on the list, but McNulty's still there. Those really are my two dominant ones, though. But then we're looking at a really good second tier. Maybe down to Barta, if we want to go that far, or we just go down to those that are the 70. But Van Barle, Gottwald, right, that's the main thing, is I need to get those names added. So I will be redoing that list as a start point. That's the first thing I do. So everybody max fitness, make my list of who my best climbers are, my best punchers are, my best time trialists / prologues, best classics guys, obvious, very obvious, huge drop off, sprinters. So that's my beginning point. And then we'll start sorting out. And like I said, this year I'm actually going to do the objectives. So I'm looking forward to adding that into the mix. But this is going to take me quite a bit of time. And I'm going to do most, if not all, of this work off camera. And I'll see you next episode as we get ready to kick off the new season. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.